Smith set to the left, tight formation. Jones flips it to him. Devontae headed for the end zone, and Alabama back on top. Player tonight goes to go. Jones on the run, and it's just too easy for Devontae Smith. And it's just too easy for Devontae Smith. Too easy, too easy, too easy for Devontae Smith. Play action. Jones steps up right down the middle of the field. It's touchdown. Devontae Smith cannot be stopped. A truly special performance by the Heisman Trophy winner. 3 touchdowns.
Welcome to All Four Downs, part of the CMG Sports Podcast Network. I am Joe Aguirre. Congratulations to the Alabama Crimson Tide. 52-24 winners over the Ohio State Buckeyes, who just didn't have enough. Losing Trey Sermon on his first carry of the game certainly did not help. But there was not much this team was going to be able to do. Alabama ran the table as we told you they would from day one. Now we'll bring in Jace and Sean and OV to talk about anybody who watched that football game that still thinks that Justin Fields is a better quarterback than Mac Jones. Please, Jace, explain yourself.
Explain myself? Well, I mean, first off, Mac Jones did not lead his team in rushing. Second off, I mean,
67 yards isn't all that impressive, but all right.
The defensive force that is Alabama is not the same as the defensive force that is Ohio State. And I mean, you talk about athleticism, mobility. Justin Fields has all that. I think Mac Jones is great. He's a great game manager, but if it comes down to a single quarterback, and you're same team, say any team at all, same guys, same offensive line, same skilled players, same running back, and it's a 2-minute drill. You got to get up and down the field. I'm going to take Justin Fields. I'm sorry about that. Mac Jones had a great season. He did great things, but I'm just
you're going to take a guy that completed 50% of his passes. Is that what you're saying? In a 2-minute drill, that's the guy that you want in a 2-minute drill. Does he have any timeouts?
Can you name any of Justin Fields' receivers?
Yeah. Olave, Wilson, Ruckert, Williams. There's a whole bunch of them. What's your point? Devontae Smith played half the game.
Devontae Smith, you can name Jalen Waddle.
Devontae Smith played half the game. Jalen Waddle had 3 catches. Sing me a song of Sixpence.
Oh, okay. And about? Also,
hold on. You just said you would take a quarterback who completed half of his passes in a 2-minute offense. I got news for you. I would never hire you to be the coach of anything. Well, really, a 50% complete. That's the guy you want leading your 2-minute. That's what you saw in that game. By the way, 33 yards on 1 carry. His other 5 carries netted him 34 yards. Sorry, Justin Fields did not come up big for Ohio State in any way, shape, or form. And if you watched that game and you thought he was a better quarterback than Mac Jones, I think you need to get your eyes looked at. I think your understanding of football has somehow gotten scrambled. I don't know if it's that new hairpiece thing that you're wearing on your head, but it's got to be cutting into the oxygen. You would take a 50% completed. Really, Sean? Please, let's clear this up.
I mean, I understand Jace's point of, what he's saying. Obviously, he did only complete 50% of his balls, but it is only one game. I think you have to take the whole context of the whole season to the matter. But I think obviously in the game, Mac Jones was a lot better. I agree with that assessment, and I think he was a lot better throughout the whole season. But I can see Jace's point. I think going forward, I don't know if that's what Jace means by this, but I think going forward, going into the NFL, I think that Justin Fields will have a better career just because I think he could do more in the pocket. That's what you need in today's NFL. He's obviously got the strong arm, and I just think that he'll be better down the line. But I do agree that Mac Jones obviously had the better year. There's no quarterback better than him in the country, I think, and they showed that on Monday night. That Ohio State just didn't stand any chance the whole game. We obviously saw in the first half they dominated, and they kept their foot on the pedal for the rest of the game.
Hey, Joe, you want to know who had
hold on a minute.
Completion percentage coming at.
Hold on a minute. First of all, I'm trying to understand what quality boy. I don't know if he's pro or con Fields here. I wouldn't take Fields over Mac Jones rolling over in my grave. I don't know what that means. Just say whether you like Fields or Mac Jones better. I'm not interested in solving riddles. I already got to try to figure out what this clown's saying. What?
You know who had big completion percentage issues coming out of college?
Oh my God.
Josh Allen. And you love Josh Allen, don't you?
Yeah.
So you take Josh Allen to win your
Josh
game.
Allen that completes passes now in the NFL, or the one that didn't? Because I would still not take the one that didn't.
So you wouldn't take? Oh, I mean that's absurd to say that.
Thank you, quality boy.
But yeah, I mean,
it's absurd. I would take the better. How is it absurd? I would take the better one.
You wouldn't take Josh Allen's Josh Allen.
Yeah,
you take one. You take Josh Allen.
I'm taking Josh Allen 2020. That learned how to be a good quarterback and learn how to complete passes.
Okay, well, I'm gonna stop you guys right there. Hold on for a second. We're gonna waive all base. I don't even know why we're talking about Josh Allen that's playing in the NFL right now, when currently what we have in front of us here is a co-champions, okay? Co-champions here on the College Bowl Mania, All Four Downs podcast. We did it on ESPN, and everyone was invited. And out of so many people that signed up, myself and Hector finished in a tie, okay? So we both agreed that we become co-champions. He had the perfect score for Ohio State. He picked Ohio State to have 24 points, and they did. I happened to have them 40-plus points, but they went over 50. So, but besides the point, we picked Alabama because of this guy right here, Mac Jones. He is the man, and he's proven from week one since they started. I can't even say week one because the season started at week 3 in college football because of the COVID and other delays. But since SEC started, he kept up the tempo. He didn't slow down, and you got to give him props when props is given. I understand Joe's point of view. Jace, I understand your point of view, but at the end of the day, when it comes to national television, the night that you got to perform the best, Mac Jones was it. And yes, so did Devontae Smith played. Najee Harris, he also had a good game. I love to see Waddle with his pride and loyalty that showed across college football, not like the Pac-12 that chickened out of not playing any bowl games. I mean, we could go on there, but that guy right there deserved that respect. Mac Jones, congratulations to you.
Do you remember 3 weeks ago when Jay said if Kyle Trask beats Alabama, does that put him in the Heisman Trophy run? I mean, absurd if he beat Mac Jones. Ha, ha, ha. Nobody stepping, bro. Nobody.
Yeah, that was the closest game of the year for Alabama, though.
Sure it was. Thank God he's got such a great defense. And Devontae Smith to throw to. But that's how good Mac Jones is, that he inspires his teammates to greatness. I don't know what Justin Fields was doing on the sideline.
You're ridiculous.
It's just
Winners,
ridiculous, though.
winners win. I didn't see Trevor Lawrence on Monday night, did you? I didn't see him. Where's Ian Book?
Nick Saban's a great winner. Nick Saban is an awesome winner.
Nick Saban wins championships. Yeah. Listen, bottom line is look, 2 weeks ago, I explained this to everybody that when you look at the 5 stars and the 4-star recruits, they're all going to Bama. Their bench is loaded with guys you would put in your starting lineup right now. Backups to backups that you would start over most of your roster right now. It's very unfair.
Yes.
But as long as it's happening, I just want to look at this, watch it, and appreciate it because to me, look, when you're as good as this team is, this is what you do. You go 13-0 and you destroy Ohio State in the national championship game. I mean, there can be no doubt. And again, I mean, this idea that it's in some way we're going to hold the talent around Mac Jones against him, or we're going to hold Nick Saban and the fact that he recruits better than anybody else. Hire better coaches in other places.
And I think that's what's going on right now. They are hiring coaches. You see, there's a coaching carousel going on in the last couple of weeks. And, it's talk about recruiting. Alabama's already leading number 1. Georgia, it's hanging in there. Clemson is still winning and recruiting. Texas just, as of today, got a recruitment from a player that's ranked in the top 50 in the ESPN. So they're stacking up now that they have a new coach. So, but as years to come, it's all about Alabama and then the SEC, man. That's what the real football is all about now. And it's always been like that since I started watching college football. Everything's SEC. And then as far as Justin Fields concerned, and I know we talked about this earlier, Jace, and we're going to get into this on the next. Do you think that he's going to the draft or would he stay in Ohio State? Because neither him, even Mac Jones, they have not decided yet if they're going to enter to the NFL draft. What do you think, Jace?
Fields, I think will. The only way I don't see him doing it is if he is like cocky and he really wants to be number 1 overall. Because next year, I'm sure he will be. I love you bringing up Mac Jones because I think he could actually learn a lot from staying. He prior to the show, I think it was you, Ovi, who mentioned he already finished his degree. Look at Justin Herbert. He finished his degree. He came back for another year, and he was able to focus that. I mean, even Joe Burrow as well. He focused everything on football, learning, reading, just bettering his skills. So then when he goes to the next level, he can make an even bigger impact, and he could be what Joe thinks he can be. And I would love to see Mac Jones take those steps to get to that level, but he needs to take those steps. If he just goes in now, I don't see him having that much success on the next level.
Are you talking about Mac Jones not having success in the next level?
Yeah, if he goes into the NFL
this
draft.
is the same guy that was behind Tua, the same guy that was behind Jalen Hurts. For him to have an opportunity this year to beat out 5-star caliber quarterback like Bryce Young and to perform the way he performed, you don't think he's still not ready to go, even though he's going to have to learn a new system, a new way of football? You don't think he's that disciplined enough to do that?
I think he is that. I think he just needs to take the net. He would be a okay game manager, an okay Alex Smith, an okay just managing the game, getting the ball where it needs to be. He won't, if he goes and he breaks down, he takes that time like a Justin Herbert did, like a Joe Burrow did, where he takes that time next year, comes in, surrounds himself with football, and he can make that next level, and he can get to that elite status as far as when it comes to being an NFL-ready QB.
I feel like we're back in week 3, and Jace is just starting to notice how good Mac Jones is. I will say this, Jace, as ridiculous as most of what you just said is, I do agree. I would like to see Mac Jones stay. I think it would behoove him. I mean, he's got, 15 starts now in his career, 13 this year, a couple last year. I think it would be great for him to come back. I think he definitely would become the number one pick in the draft in 2022 because not having Devontae Smith around and not having Jalen Waddle around will do him some good. I think you'll see what a good quarterback he is. And I think you're grossly underestimating the skill set he has when you say something as ridiculous as comparing him to Alex Smith. This guy's, a game manager that completes 77% of his passes and has a 45-2 touchdown. You're joking, right?
Alex Smith was.
Are you reading your week 3 scouting report on Mac Jones? Hold it up. What are you looking at? Does it say week 3 on it?
I've got my rankings right here.
Sean, that's his week 3 scouting report on Mac Jones.
That's not a scouting. That's a playbook.
He hasn't updated his scouting report. He hasn't updated his scouting report since they beat Georgia.
No, he's gone up. Like he wasn't in the first round midway through the season. Now he's in my first round from a mock draft. So I'm giving him respect. I'm saying if he wants to take that next level and if he wants to be a top 10 pick, he has to come back. He has to focus all on football and grow as a player.
It's all on football because he didn't want to have classes. Chase,
yes.
I've got news for you. This guy is like an elite quarterback prospect at this point. I think he can nail it down for sure next season. And to look at what Justin Herbert did, I think is the smart thing to do, come back. But I'll say this too. The idea that there's dum-dums like you that are so obsessed with Trevor Lawrence and Justin Fields and Justin Wilson and whoever Trey Lance is, I don't even care about that guy at all.
Okay,
he's 6'6". I don't care. I literally don't care.
He also last year played 18 games.
Here's what I do know. I got to bounce. I can't put up with much more of you right now. Do me a favor. I want you to go look up Mac Jones's numbers, and I want you to look at his numbers against ranked teams. And I want you to look at the regular season numbers that are sick against everybody, and then look at the numbers that he has against the top teams in the country. All of his numbers, QBR, yards, completion everything goes up against elite opponents. To suggest this guy's not ready for the NFL is silly. And the other thing is because he's probably going to fall and be a first round pick, he instantly walks into a better situation than either of your guys. Any of those 3 or 4 are going to walk into a terrible situation. He's going to end up on a contender, maybe the Saints, maybe a team like that. Mac Jones is going to show you what an NFL quarterback looks like, dude. He's got the deep ball. He's got accuracy. You put some weapons around him, look what he does.
Yeah. I think I don't think he should stay. I think it would hurt his stock if he stayed. Obviously, he's going to lose those playmakers next year. So, and I don't think he can get any better than what he did this year. So, and if he's already projected as a late first rounder after the year he just had, what do you think that he's going to do next year when he loses all those playmakers? I just don't think that he's going to help build his stock anyway whatsoever. And when you talk about Mac Jones transitioning to the NFL, obviously he's got the accuracy that you want to see, but he can't move in the pocket. You saw it against Ohio State. There's a couple of times when they were in man coverage and he would scramble because he had the open lane, but he cannot move that well in the pocket. The NFL is starting to move away from that. So I'm just interested to see, and obviously he had the great line at Alabama. If he goes into a situation where he's not working behind a great offensive line, can he be able to, make plays off script, can be able to move out of the pocket, make plays like that? I'm not sure that he can. So I think that's the one thing that we still have to see with Mac Jones. But I think he should go to the draft, though. I think his stock would only go down if he comes back this year. And just for Justin Fields, I think he will go to the NFL draft, but I wouldn't be surprised if he comes back. He obviously looked pissed off after losing to Alabama on Monday night. He had that same hurt after losing to Clemson last year. So, and he came to Ohio State for a reason, to win a national championship. That's why he transferred from Georgia. So I think that I wouldn't be too surprised if Fields comes back next year.
Well, I'll tell you what, more to follow on that. We're going to continue talking about the draft after this. If you look at here, we have the very far left was the original top 25, how we started at week 3, okay, with Clemson, Alabama, Oklahoma, and Georgia on top. We look forward to the right, the top 25 of the All Four Downs podcast. Our final review, as we know, number 1 is Alabama and Ohio State, which, again, was debatable because of the fact of all these rule changes the Big Ten Conference were doing for eligibility. They made it there. Texas A&M and Oklahoma finished the top 4. But the question you, Sean, right now with this list, to start the season, okay, to start the season next in 2021, 2022, who is your top 4 off the bat right now?
I think you got to stay with the elites with Alabama, Clemson, and Ohio State. Every year, it really doesn't matter. They're always bringing back. They don't rebuild. They reload with their with their recruiting classes. They do such a great job of recruiting in their areas. So I think those 3 will stay at the top. And then I'll throw Oklahoma in there for my number 4. Spencer Rattler finished this year really strong. The defense started to really come around at the end of the year. So I think Oklahoma could take that next step forward next year and hopefully see if they do get into the college football playoff next year, if they can actually make some moves, maybe even make it to a national championship after some upsetting performances in the college football playoff. But I would stay with the 3 elites and then Oklahoma and at the number 4 spot right now.
All right, Jace, what's your top 4?
My top 4 is the same. I wish I could say different, but another young team that I think will be biting at the heels at the top 4 is in North Carolina. I know they're losing both their running backs to the draft, but I think that another year for I blanked
for Howell?
Sam Howell.
Sam Howell. Thank you guys.
Well, he's a sophomore, but okay.
Yeah, I think another year for him, come in, get everything going, him to get right. I mean, he's going to have to learn not to rely too much on that running game because he's losing his 2-headed monster in the backfield. But I think he will come in. He'll light things up. That should be interesting. And then also, I've talked about them all year. Cincinnati, Desmond Ritter's going to come back. They are losing a couple some key pieces on defense, but I think Cincinnati is going to be the talk of the town outside of the Power 5 yet again next year.
Well, okay, I got you there. My pick here, I'll remain with Alabama. If you're the defending champ, you're going to stay on top until you get knocked down, and knowing that they have the best recruits all year round. I got Alabama number 1. I definitely have Georgia at number 2. I know I'm a Georgia fan, but these guys are staying. The seniors are going to the draft, but those are eligible. But their players are staying because they're hungry for a title win, and they pretty much are upset for losing to Florida. I do expect them to win their division next year. I'm not so convinced of Oklahoma, even though they beat Florida, but the way they beat Florida, they should have going against their second and third string team. Okay, you're talking about these elite players, so-called, that they're getting ready for the NFL draft. I have my own opinion on that, but I have them outside looking in. I can't disrespect Clemson. You know they played good without Trevor Lawrence, racking up them points. But Notre Dame just hired a new defensive coordinator that's going to help out improve their defense. So I will at least have those 4 as of right now in the top 4 with Cincinnati and Oklahoma outside looking in. But, hey, that's what we have here. Like I said, congratulations to Alabama. Congratulations to everybody that at least made it through this pandemic. I wish it was a different storyline. More focus already was talking about the viewership of the college football national championship. They went slightly under 10 million viewers compared to last year. That was 20 million. And that's due to the fact
the highest rated bowl game, the highest rated out of all bowl season.
You're going to tell
Cincinnati.
Fair enough. I'm sure that everyone was enjoying the holidays during that time. So, yeah, more props to that game. But moving right along, the NFL draft will be happening at the end of April. And again, just like how I showed you guys last week, this is the draft order as of right now. Of course, the results of what's going on in the playoffs will add too. But Miami Dolphins are in a good advantage right now to come up real good. I mean, I think one of those picks was from Houston, right? If I'm not
Yeah.
mistaken.
That's
Mhm.
third.
So, poor Houston, man, and especially with the situations they're going through. Watson wants out of that team. But this guy here, I think he clinched his way to Jacksonville. What do you think about this? I mean, do you think anything like, I know you say Mac Jones and all, but there's so many people, think where things can happen in the draft, and not necessarily will things happen the way we think it's going to happen. But do you think 99% this is a lock for Trevor Lawrence in Jacksonville?
Yeah, definitely. Trevor Lawrence is. I mean, it's been like we talked about with the Heisman all year. It was his to lose. This has been his spot to lose. The only issue I can see coming from this is the possibility. I mean, and even this is a long shot. Is the possibility of Urban Meyer coming in for Jacksonville and saying, "Hey, I want the Ohio State guy." But even that. I mean, Urban Meyer said great things about Trevor Lawrence too, and I'm sure he'd love to be coaching Trevor Lawrence. So
Yeah.
this is Trevor Lawrence's spot.
Well, there's other quarterbacks that are going to be right now in the NFL draft that it's official in the NFL draft going on April. And this is right here. We got Sam Ehlinger from Texas, Trey Lawrence from North Dakota State. We already talked about Trevor Lawrence, Davis Mills from Stanford, Jamie Newman. I'm surprised with Jamie Newman just because he didn't play this year. So I'm just curious to see how he will do in the combine to see if his value goes up or would he be a mid fourth or fifth round pick. But he is tentatively coming from Georgia because he did transfer. We got Kyle Trask from Florida and Zach Wilson from BYU. And a lot of people out of these lists right here, besides Trevor Lawrence, Zach Wilson has been predicting that's the second best quarterback on that list. What do you think, Sean?
Yeah, I think Zach Wilson, obviously, he had a great year for BYU, and I think it will translate to the NFL. He's, super mobile in the pocket. He's got for not so big of a guy in size. He's got a really strong arm, and he's super accurate. So I think that, his game will transition well to the NFL. And I think I would still probably put Fields ahead of him, and obviously Trevor Lawrence, but I think Zach Wilson's right up there. But I'd be a little bit surprised if he ends up going in the top 5, though. I know I've seen a lot of that in mock drafts, but I don't think he's worthy of a top 5 pick exactly. But I do think that he will come into some team that needs a quarterback and give him help right away. And then obviously Trey Lance is also a really good quarterback. I like what I saw last year out of him. Obviously not turning the ball over at all, and he's going to get to his FCS season hopefully in the spring. So we'll see if he does anything then. But yeah, I think Zach Wilson definitely will help the team out, though, in the NFL.
We got the running backs here. Here's the running back list. Again, this is what's official right now. This list can grow. I like Chuba Hubbard and Jared Patterson in here. Jace, is there anyone else that you know of that could stand out in the draft?
Well, I talked a little bit about it. Looking forward to next season, but the dual-headed monster that North Carolina had with Michael Carter and Javonte Williams was dominant. I like Javonte Williams more. I think he's going to be a really solid running back for a team looking to upgrade, or just he could even be a solid second option, a solid mother. I mean, he was part of a two-headed monster at North Carolina, so he might be a part of another two-headed monster in the NFL. But another guy, I mean, I'm a Pac-12 guy. I'm going to have to go with Jamar Jefferson from Oregon State. He obviously had that big game against Oregon when they upset him. This dude's a beast. He's very, very solid, and he would be a great addition to any team looking to add another running back to a solid running back core.
All right. I mean, the list is going on and on. I could put up the wide receivers and the rest of the positions, but that list goes to like page 2, 3, and 4. But hey, more to follow on that, and we're going to keep an eye on those that are going to be entering the NFL draft, the Combine that's coming up. Also, again, we'll be broadcasting in April to see in our predictions of who's going to be drafted. And Jace has already started. If you want to follow him on clovercrestmedia.com, he got his mock draft on point. He got many versions. He's a very undecisive guy when it comes after the first round, but you got to follow him there on Clovercrest Media. Follow him on Facebook as well as Twitter and Twitch. Talk to me about more Twitch there, Jace.
Hey, I play video games as much as I can. I'm trying to get a Madden in. So hopefully I can play Madden, talk to people, tell me what you guys think about football, sports, anything. But yeah, just big JCAs on Twitch and Twitter. Check me out.
You got a new show that you just had earlier in the day. Tell us more about that.
Yeah, the Posting Up podcast. We'll talk about everything from around the NBA. Obviously, we went on earlier to talk about the huge James Harden trade, him going to the Brooklyn Nets. But if you're a fan of the NBA, you're a big fan of basketball, definitely check out the Posting Up podcast with Clovercrest Sports Media.
Absolutely. And just before we go away with Jason, with Joe and his final whistle, I'd like to take a short break. Check out this podcast.
Welcome to Ivy League Murders. On this podcast, we focus on cases affiliated with the Ivy League, exploring the darker side of higher education. What happens when genius becomes evil? My name is Sarah Alcorn. I'm a Harvard graduate, and I've been a private investigator since 1999. Join me and longtime crime diva Laura McDonald for Ivy League Murders.
When the first preseason poll came out this season, LSU was ranked number 6. And mind you, they had lost Heisman Trophy winner and national champion Joe Burrow. But with Jamar Chase and Miles Brennan taking over at quarterback, most people felt pretty good about LSU. Of course, Chase didn't come back. Miles Brennan lost his job, and they went 5-5. You throw in the craziness of COVID-19, and no one could have predicted that, or much less anything else that happened this season. Until we shift our eyes over to the Crimson Tide, who had lost Tua Tagovailoa as their starting quarterback, as well as Jerry Jeudy and a lot of other players to the NFL. A lot of people thought 5-star recruit and true freshman Bryce Young would be the starting quarterback for Bama. And maybe thanks to COVID and the shortened training camp, Mac Jones emerged as Bama's starting quarterback. When Jalen Waddle went down, the chatter started about all the elite athletes that Jones had at his disposal, and people questioned what he would do with a big boy receiver like Waddle out of the picture. I'm not going to bother wasting your time with all the numbers of the superstar season that Mac Jones put up. The greatest season in Alabama history. It is indisputable at this point that Mac Jones is the best quarterback in Alabama's history. And despite what people who have seen from Mac Jones, and the people here I'm referring to are folks who have only been watching the last 3 or 4 weeks. Because those of us who have been watching Mac Jones from day one told you exactly how this was going to play out and that this guy was something special. When you're playing at the highest level of college football, mind you, behind an NFL quality offensive line, you still have to make the throws. No one has showed the consistency, accuracy, touch, and deep ball that Mac Jones has. I know people are in love with Trevor Lawrence and Justin Wilson and Justin Fields and Trey Lance, and the list goes on and on and on. People hate to admit when they're wrong. Mac Jones had a season for the ages, put up 464 yards and 5 touchdowns in the national championship game, and they still wouldn't make him the MVP. I believe in some way that a lot of people feel like Mac Jones is inferior to Trevor Lawrence, inferior to Justin Fields and Justin Wilson. Well, I got news for you, fellas. Haven't been watching enough football. There's a good chance Mac Jones will be the 3rd or 4th quarterback taken in this draft, which means, sort of like Pat Mahomes, he's going to fall to a talented team. Meanwhile, Trevor Lawrence will end up in Jacksonville. Fields probably ends up with the Jets. Take a look at Justin Herbert and the success he enjoyed last season compared to, say, Joe Burrow or Tua. Tell me who's in the more enviable position. with the brighter future going forward. Mac Jones might not become an NFL superstar quarterback, but I bet he'll get a chance to win more games than Lawrence and Fields do. Thank you so much for joining us in All Four Downs, part of the CMG Sports Podcast Network group. For more, visit clovercrestmedia.com. For all the latest in sports, go to hhwshow.com for unique perspectives, wide-ranging opinions, and a ton of other great podcasts. Make sure you follow us on social media, like, share, leave a review. For Jace Garcia, Sean Scanlon, and our executive producer extraordinaire, Ovi Muniz, I am Joe Aguirre. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next Wednesday night at 7:30 for All Four Downs.